Working 9 to 5 is probably not the best idea if you want to live your life to its fullest potential. Contrary to popular beliefs, there are actually ways to earn money by just putting your money into something. I'm talking about dividends. Hey everyone, welcome back to Capital Finance. In this video, we will take a look at how you can quit your job and start with dividend investing. As what we always do, before we begin, don't forget to like this video. And let's start. Retirement security and living the life is a top concern for the majority of investors. Most people's wealth is held in special savings accounts, and it might be just as challenging to maintain a nice retirement as it is to save enough to do so. Even if you don't need the money, dividends might supply you with enough to sustain your lifestyle, and if you plan ahead, it is feasible to survive only on dividends. But first, what are dividends? Earnings from the corporation are used to pay dividends, and distributions to shareholders are made by a company's board of directors. Investors get dividends as a percentage of a company's profits, which they receive as a kind of equity. Dividends are the only means for investors to profit from stock ownership without losing their investment in the firm aside from option schemes. After making money from operations, the company's management has two options when it comes to profit distribution. It may either keep all of the earnings and invest them in the firm, or it can give a small percentage of the profits to shareholders to encourage stock appreciation. Shareholders would also gain if management decided to repurchase parts of its own shares. For a firm to justify reinvesting in itself rather than paying a dividend, it must continue to expand faster than the industry average. There are several reasons why dividend payments are vital to keeping shareholders invested in a firm when growth slows down. After a company reaches a certain level of market capitalization, growth slows significantly. No matter how much money is pumped back into a firm, it will eventually get a scale where it no longer can expand at annual rates of 30% to 40%, like a small cap. The law of enormous numbers makes it impossible to have a mega cap corporation with growth rates that beat the market at a certain point. Let's take a look at an example of this. When a company's growth slows down, it is easy to see what may happen. Microsoft's 2003 adjustments are a great example of this. Microsoft ultimately declared a dividend in January 2003 because the corporation had so much money in the bank that it couldn't find enough suitable initiatives to invest it in. In the end, a high-flying growth stock isn't going to survive indefinitely. Even though Microsoft began paying dividends, this does not mean that the corporation was on its way out. According to this, Microsoft had reached a new phase of its life cycle and was no longer capable of doubling and trembling at the rate it had previously. 9.5% to 46 cents per share. Microsoft announced a dividend increase in September 2021. Apple experienced the same thing. The only use for Apple's money is to reinvest it or use it to make acquisitions, as the business has long seen itself as Microsoft's antithesis. On the other hand, Apple began paying a dividend in 2012 and eventually eclipsed Exxon in 2017 as the company with the most significant dividend payment worldwide. Apple's dividend yield is 63 cents as of today. As an illustration, consider the following scenario. Suppose you paid $5 for each of 1,000 shares of a corporation. $5,000 is the total cash you've put into this venture. If the corporation pays out a 10 cents dividend per share each year, your investment generates $100 yearly returns. What are some dividend investment strategies? Many people believe dividend stocks are just for pensioners or investors who aren't willing to take a risk. The opposite is true. When you first begin investing, you should think about purchasing dividend-paying stocks to profit from their long-term advantages. Since dividend-paying stocks tend to beat the market with a lower degree of volatility, they have a long history of success. As a result, dividend stocks make excellent additions to any investment portfolio since they assist in diversifying your holdings. Just remember, that there are a variety of dividend options to choose from. Building an overall portfolio that includes dividends is the first step. Investing in dividend-paying stocks is similar to investing in bonds. However, unlike bond interest payments, dividends aren't a requirement for a firm to provide. Because of this, a company's dividend might be in jeopardy if it's forced to reduce its costs. Choosing how to reinvest dividends is an essential part of any dividend investing plan. Reinvesting dividends manually or via a dividend reinvestment plan, or DRIP, is an option for some investors. You may use this powerful tool to automatically reinvest all of your dividends back into the company's stock with no additional costs or charges. One of the simplest ways to harness the power of time and compounding values is to use this easy set it and forget it technique. An additional dividend investing option is investing in a dividend-focused exchange-traded fund, or ETF, or mutual fund. Investors have access to a wide range of dividend-paying equities with these fund alternatives. What are the things you need to consider when choosing which dividend-paying stocks to invest in? When deciding on an investment strategy, one way that may help add stability to a portfolio is by investing in reputable companies with a solid track record of dividend payments. However, a company's historical track record of paying dividends does not guarantee it will continue to pay dividends in the future. When it comes to choosing dividend stocks, it may help to understand the yield or the annual dividend per share price. This can give you a rough idea of how much income you might receive for each dollar invested in the company. Some investors may focus solely on the dividend yield rather than paying attention to how much a stock's price has fluctuated. Stock prices are directly linked to a company's success. This is a somewhat limiting perspective. When a stock's value rises, the demand for that stock increases. When demand increases, so do the price because of the rule of supply and demand. The dividend yield, calculated by dividing the annual dividends paid per share by the price, theoretically decreases since the payout is not directly linked to the stock price. Here are some excellent dividend-paying stocks. Number 1. American States Water. 67 straight years of dividends have been paid by American States Water, a water and energy utility corporation. As of right now, the yield on dividends is 1.61%. Number 2. P&G. Consumer goods giant Procter & Gamble has a 66-year history of distributing profits to shareholders. The dividend yield now stands at 2.57%. Number 3. Dover Corporation. Dover Corporation is an industrial goods multinational that has paid dividends for 66 years. The dividend yield is now 1.3%. Number 4. Coca-Cola. There haven't been any dividends paid out by Coca-Cola Company over the past 59 years. The dividend is at 3.11%. Number 5. AT&T. As a telecommunications provider, AT&T is a well-known brand name. With a dividend yield of 6.49%, it's one of the highest on the market. For 39 straight years, the company has paid dividends. Number 6. McDonald's. Most people have heard of McDonald's. For the past 44 years, it has been gradually bringing in money. It now has a dividend yield of 2.2%. Investing in stocks that pay dividends may significantly influence your net worth over the long term. In addition, they can be reinvested to improve your overall investment return in retirement or sooner. Consider holding dividend-paying corporations through a low-cost fund or ETF in a tax-advantage account in your long-term investing strategy. And that's it for this video about dividends. I'd like to know your thoughts on this. Drop your comments below and share your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching this video. See you next time.